Hey, what's up, everybody? TJ here, co-host of the Now Mind You podcast, here with a review of the latest chapter of Tokyo Revengers by Ken Wakui. This is Tokyo Revengers chapter 245, titled Grow Up 2. Before we go any further, as always, remember that there are spoilers in this review. I will be summarizing the chapter, then reviewing it. So if you are not caught up with chapter 245, I suggest you read it before you listen to us, or pause this and then come back to it right after you've read it. As always, let's start with the previous chapter's last panel. What did we have? We had the 90s X-Men cartoon intro style face off on that double page spread between Kanto and Toman. Everyone's paired off, and it looks like Takemichi has to get past Kakucho first. Let's get into the summary. The scene opens up in the old cargo bay, and basically the gauntlet has been thrown down, and now it's battle time. We got 500 members of Kanto versus 50 members of Toman. Wakui wastes no time. Takemichi is immediately making a beeline for Mikey, who responds mockingly with the "What an idiot. Why would the weakest loser like you charge first in a suicide attack like this? The team is done for if their leader falls, you know." Here comes Kakucho as the gatekeeper on some "you want to get to the boss, you got to go through me" vibes. Takemichi doesn't even see him in the figurative sense, right? He yells out, "Get out of my way." And then boom, here comes that step in world destroyer cross from Kakucho, accompanied by an admonishment, right? He basically says like, "Hey, quit playing. Your fight is over," right? Something along those lines. I'm paraphrasing, of course, right? We then cut to a flashback of young Takemichi. Low key, like his life is flashing before his eyes, and usually when something like that happens, it's never a good thing, right? It's usually like right before death. So we see his life flashing before his eyes, from him believing in himself as a kid to being a loser as an adult, all the way up to getting pushed in front of the train at the start of the story by Akun. Let's not forget, right? And also we have to understand too, like while this flashback is happening, it starts off with him saying like, "When did I label myself as weak?" Right? However, despite all those flashbacks to like, the weak moments in his life, or at least some of the events that led to the path he was on when the story started, right? We see that he does not fall, right? If anything, he stands his ground. Now he's leaning back like he's about to fall, but his body is rooted to the ground, right? And then we get another flashback. This time, a different tone is set, right? This time it's like of his motivation, Hina, right? And all the actions and decisions he has made to get to this point since he first time leaped in the beginning, right? And then we see him counter Kakucho with a stepping cross of his own that sends Kakucho careening toward Mikey. Now, no one expects that, right? Not even Mikey. Even Kakucho gets a flashback as Takemichi loads up that cross, right? He flashes back to the young Takemichi he remembers playing with, right? The Takemichi as a kid who used to run around with that cape believing he was a hero, right? Now cut to the last panels. "And now, with that same resolution, I'll get to Mikey," says a confident Takemichi as Mikey looks on, having regained his cold composure. Now, let's get into the review. Listen, everyone, as I was writing this on Tuesday, so it's Thursday as I'm recording this, Thursday, March 10th, and this chapter came out on Tuesday the 8th, right? I honestly don't know where to begin, but man, this chapter was an emotional roller coaster in the best way possible. Like, even reading my notes right now, my heart is still low key kind of beating rather fast, and it was beating fast as I read the chapter. Like, I read it at least 3 times, and each time it's like I had to take a break just to let the events that I just read kind of digest, if that makes sense. I don't think I'm the only one who felt this way. Because shout out to the Tokyo Avengers subreddit. You guys are going to get another shout out toward the end, but I think we have quite a few like-minded folks in that subreddit, and I know you guys may have felt this too, right? Um, listen, listen. I'd like to start off with the obvious, right? When Kakucho caught Takemichi with that right cross, I thought to myself, "Yep, yeah, that's about right. That's what we all thought was going to happen." I know I'm not the only one. Part of me also wonders about the significance of Kakucho being the one to hit him first. Was that some type of, like, on Kakucho's part, "I'm going to beat some sense into you because apparently you must be crazy" energy, right? Think about it. Kakujo says to him, "Your fight is over, you dumbass." I mean, he's not wrong. Takemichi was under no real, quote unquote, real obligation to travel back to the past since the aftermath of Tenjiku, right? I mean, think about it. The timeline was set up. Everybody was happy, asterisk, right? A lot of them were camouflaging their inner pain, especially at the loss of Mikey, submitting to the, or, just kind of giving into the dark side. But it was still, out of all the futures or all the present timelines we had seen up to that point, ever since like Takemichi lead back, that was like the best one so far. I mean, he was on the verge of marrying Hina, right? And then it's like, I don't 100% know that Kakucho was aware of Takemichi's time leap abilities, but I wouldn't put it out of the realm of possibility. It wouldn't be surprising if he did know, right? And if he did, like, that would add a little bit more weight to that "your fight is over, you dumbass" exclamation. Because then I would understand Kakucho being pissed, like, why are you doing this to yourself? This doesn't concern you anymore, man. Just, we all wanted you to live happily. Just do that, bro. You don't have to do this. But that's just a take. I'm not saying this is like valid or whatever. That's just my thought on it, right? And please feel free to hit me up, leave comments, etc. Now, the next thing we need to talk about, and I think you'll all agree, is how cinematic this chapter was. And I think this whole series as a whole, sorry about that, but this whole series does a good job of being very cinematic. Like, there's not much left to the imagination between the manga and the anime, right? Wakui does a very good job of drawing the action, I will say. But getting back to this, as I was reading it, I could almost hear that movie score, right? That soundtrack, like, go from a gloomy, ominous tone to something triumphant. I mean, all those flashbacks from, Takemichi acting like a superhero when he was a kid to his first defeat at the hands, and this was like a significant fork in the road for his destiny, right? His first defeat at the hands of Kiyomasa, to becoming a loser adult, right? To his death / first time leap, to rediscovering the love of his life in Hinata, I should say, right? To standing up for himself and by extension saving Draken's life, to go on blow for blow against Shiba Taiju, right? In that the whole Black Dragons arc, right? To standing his ground at Tenjiku, like, there was some weight on that fist he hit Kakucho with, right? You can't deny that. He didn't endure all that trauma. He didn't do all those leaps just to lose here when there's still one more person he has to save. And also, let's keep in mind too, like, he's got no connection to the present anymore. Like, if he dies here, he dies. He actually is unable to leap back to the present because of how he leaped, right? He leaped on the verge of death. Now, like, reading this, how could one not get a little emotional, right? Our crybaby hero for the first time is not crying. This was a beautiful, beautiful chapter. And it's like, remember, like, all those times we were reading, and even if you watch the anime, right? I remember I watched the anime first and I had to go back and read all the chapters from chapter 1. Like, all those times reading and seeing Takemichi, like, just get mollywopped at the beginning. It was hard to read. It's like, man, how are we supposed to root for a protagonist who's got no hands, But he has been making up for that ever since. And, like, this chapter right here in front of Mikey, come on, man. Come on. He did right by us readers. I think we all got rewarded for our patience, right? Now, also, I have to add, too, I would be remiss if I didn't mention this, right? I really love seeing the expressions of shock from Senju, Hakai, and Mikey, right? My predictions / questions about this chapter, I got a few, right? Namely, I think there's no way this won't have a ripple effect morale-wise for Toman. I mean, it's just got to, right? Like, this is the leader. This is everybody. This is the person everyone had doubts about, including us readers, right? And he just did that to Kakucho, who is like second in command in Tenjiku and is like a high-up exec in Kanto. Like, come on. This is definitely going to be like a morale booster for everybody on second-generation Toman, right? This is like Lucio in Overwatch, shout out to Overwatch if anyone played, right? Using his ultimate and everyone's about to get buffed up. Like, I think that's got to be the immediate effect. I don't think we're going to get Takemichi versus Mikey just yet. I feel like it's going to jump to a different tussle. I mean, remember that we did get a few different matchups in the previous chapter. Waka and Benkei potentially versus Senju. Hakai versus Elder Haitani, bro. Hell, we might even get Angry versus the younger Haitani, or Angry versus both, because he did a number on them back in the Tenjiku battle. Now, I feel like even with this undoubtedly being a big momentum shift, things might have to get balanced story-wise. Hang with me on this. Like, I think Toman's got to take a significant L. I don't know if it's going to happen next chapter, but Kanto's going to do something to destroy that momentum that just got built by that punch, right? That being said, and this is a theory, I wonder if reinforcements will come through in the form of any leftover black dragons, right? And this is where I'm connecting it to the overall theme that we've seen time and again, where several significant characters directly related to Toman or to Mikey, right? I mean, one and the same in a sense, right? But have mentioned how Takemichi continues to remind them of Sano Shinichiro, Mikey's older brother and the original founder of the Black Dragons. In fact, Senju's older brother was a part of that generation, if I recall correctly. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But we also have to keep in mind that when Takemichi went toe-to-toe with, I just had his name, well, with the Elder Shiba, right, Hakai's older brother, he lost that battle, right? The Black Dragons lost, but Takemichi ended up becoming the leader of the Black Dragons, I believe the 11th generation, right? So it kind of makes sense to me, and I'm not saying this is going to happen, but I think it would make sense if, right, the 11th generation leader of the gang your brother started is the one to defeat you, is the one to bring you back to your senses, to snap you out of that dark place, right? It seems to make sense to me. And again, this is just a theory. I'm not saying that this is what's going to happen, but if you agree, if you disagree, please let me know. I would love to hear your thoughts, right? Because I think, I don't know, it's been something that's been mentioned over and over again, right? The similarities between Shinichiro and Takemichi. I think that's got to come back now. I mean, we're definitely in the final arc. All in all, great chapter, and I can't wait to hear what everyone thinks. And once again, big shout out to the Tokyo Revengers subreddit. You guys have been showing what I've been doing here as part of Now Mind You a lot of love. Thank you all for all the recent follows, whether it be on subscribing on YouTube, following us on Instagram. Definitely appreciate it. And thank you for even listening and watching this, right? I really appreciate that. And of course, if you like what you're hearing, please hit up our main podcast and give it a follow at Now Mind You Pod on Instagram. Peace, y'all. Thank you so much. Hope you all have a great weekend. I'll catch you at the next chapter. Bye.